Namaskar, good evening, and welcome back to our YouTube channel, VLSI for All, a hub for technical education and an epicenter for affordable VLSI coaching in India. Today, we are indeed proud and honored to have with us Mr. KARTHIK Ramaswamy, an exemplary industrialist with over 22 years of hands-on experience in the field of VLSI industry. Before we jump into the interview, let me have the privilege of introducing KARTHIK sir in more detail. Sir completed his bachelor's in Electronics and Communication Engineering from MS University and went on to pursue his master's in microelectronics at the prestigious Manipal University. After a brief stint in the industry, making him even more worthy. Sir has completed his General Executive Management Training Program from IIM Bangalore, the top management school of India. In his career, Sir has adorned many caps like a hardware engineer, component design engineer, DFT engineer, and also worked at the top companies like Broadcom, Wipro, etc., to name a few. Sir, with your kind permission, can we start the questionnaire?
Sure, Anurag. Thanks for your gracious introduction. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So let's jump into a questionnaire so that Sir can enlighten us even more. Firstly, sir, when you completed your bachelor's, how were the job market with respect to the core domain, as you have always stuck to the core field and never switched? So what is your take on this and advice for the young and would-be graduates?
Yes, Anurag, you rightly pointed that I joined VLSI and I never switched. Okay? But the entry to VLSI is full of challenges. Okay? When I completed in 1999, I was one of the university topper along with my friend. We both decided to go only with VLSI opportunities. Those were the days when there were software opportunities were plenty. Right? In 1999, we remember me and my friend said no to Infosys written test and interviews. Most of the my classmates, right, were wondering why such decisions to miss out the bigger opportunities. Right? But we know our passion, we identified our passion and stick to it. But the journey was not so smooth. Initially, I took 6 months before I got an intern opportunity. Then I was working for around 1.5 years as a design engineer before moving to a DFT domain, DFT engineer in a startup by around 2001. My advice, you guys are very smart, but still I will take it as a suggestion to the young students of VLSI, right? First, identify your passion. Just do not go with any job you get, right? I know sometimes the job market will be fluctuating. Sometimes the demand will be more, sometimes the demand will be less. But you VLSI students, right, have to stick to the passion. If you are really passionate about the VLSI or whatever you want to do in your life, right? Take it sincerely, listen to all of the other suggestions, but stick to your goals, do what you want to do, and take your decisions in right way.
Yes, sir. So moving on, there's always a concern from the student fraternity that there is no linkage between what is taught in the class and what the industry people expect. So how would you address this issue?
See, I agree to this comment partially, right? There is not much linkage from what we are taught and what we do in the industry, right? That I partially agree, but what things never change are the concepts, right? I still remember the digital concepts I was taught in the class. Those were the foundations and those were the things which helped me to be successful in my career, right? So it is not true that we learn something and do something in the industry. That happens to people only who are not clear and to take whatever jobs available. Say you focus on electronics and if you land in a banking job, right? It is not right. Say I am not degrading the banking job. It is a wonderful, fantastic work to do. But for people who are passionate in banking software, they should do, right? All the electronics and communication engineers, if they are passionate to do something, they should follow their goals and then go with it. Coming back to your question, there is a slight gap between what we learn and what we are doing in the industry, but that can be addressed if you are very strong in digital concepts, right? Then there are a lot of initiatives going on. The governments, the lot of MNCs now, right, having a connect with the institutes and even framing the syllabus. If I recall a couple of quarters ago, right, I noted some of the industry leaders are working to provide a syllabus to the institutes. So things are happening, a lot of fantastic and challenging things are happening, exciting things are happening. So please stay with your focus, and this gap will narrow down in the next coming years.
Yes, sir. So when you first joined as a hardware engineer in the early 2000, what was your experience and takeaway from the work arena? And how did you improvise to maximize the work efficiency?
Another wonderful question, Anurag. To be honest, I am giving a lot of suggestions, but that doesn't mean that I did everything perfect. It is from my learnings and experience. I am giving the suggestions which you guys can follow, which I haven't taken much. When I joined in around 2000, early 2000, right? My focus was so much on VLSI, but when I got into the job, it was a little shifter for me. I was not, there are a lot of new things to me. There are a lot of senior people around. Then I will say I didn't do to my best in the first 1.5 years. I was aware of a lot of Verilog, Unix. I kept learning, but my intensity and focus was not so great. By early 2001, when I landed into a startup as a DFT engineer, right, there was a huge demand for me to work, and I was put in a client place, right, in 6 weeks of training. I was supposed to do things which a 2-year experience was supposed to do. That gave me the challenging thing. Then that was the time when I started focusing. So sometimes we need to be patient. For 1.5 years, I was not so productive. I was not so efficient. But the startup environment brought the best out of me. And from there, I was able to increase my efficiency. And as I said earlier, I am mentioning all to the young, smart students with my experience. But a lot of things I would have been done better. But I'm confident of you folks.
Yes, sir. So moving on, sir, since you are both into the research and the industry, would you like to share any recent advancement in the chip design field?
Yeah, see, there are a lot of advancement. If you see the past 2 decades, right, when I started working, it was 180 nanometer designs. And by the way, it evolved over the 2 decades. It's now we are working on 3 nanometer, 7 nanometer designs. If you want to see the DFT, how it has evolved, there are a lot of advanced technologies, right? Initially, we were doing a kind of a full scan methodology. Now it has evolved to a compressed EDT, and now there are a lot of scan streaming networks. The advanced scan streaming network has come, hierarchical based designs. The advancement is plenty to discuss. Okay? To cite a few, there are a lot of things happening around in 3D packaging also. Recently, I attended a conference in 3D packaging where it was discussed. And the DFT also have a lot of work on the 3D packaging, including some of the high bandwidth memories, how they are integrated with the chip and all those things. Maybe going ahead, I'll give a small presentation with all of you in other separate session where I can take some topic and explain you on those advanced.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic, sir. Yes, sir. So moving on to the next question, sir. What are the basic and must qualities an electronic engineer must possess in order to sail in the VLSI industry?
Good. You put a right word, sail in the VLSI industry. That's a right word, because VLSI industry is not like other domains where you get a little time to react, and there are not as dynamic as VLSI. For VLSI engineers, the basic first thing I would like to see in the people is the attitude to learn. That comes first. If we have the right attitude, we can learn. Next, our ability to prioritize. If you see how the VLSI engineers grow, right? In the initial couple of years, it will be only learning. We shouldn't get diverged. Our focus should be there. There will be people, other software engineers who will be traveling more than VLSI engineers, right? But if we stick to our focus, if we prioritize, it will be good for us, and we will grow to a point where we will be proud of our achievements. And what other basic quality we need is the ability to learn and strong digital concepts. At college level, we should be very strong in digital concepts, learn Unix, learn Verilog. These three things are technically required, and rest things we can learn in the industry. And as I rightly said, maybe as I pointed out, attitude to learn is the key. And I see a lot of such good attitude folks in the present student community.
Yes, sir. As a core domain expert, sir, what would you suggest young college graduates to choose between the front end and the back end? So keeping in mind the job perspectives, salary, the placement of companies, etc.
Okay. If you see the salary part in the initial when you are joining, right, it is not the right approach. As I mentioned, for VLSI engineers, the package will be quite higher than any other engineers in the industry. So if we have talent, the money will follow us. So let us focus on what we need to work on. We, as a VLSI engineers, I don't see we should be initially taking the step of should we work on a front end or back end. Right? We won't have an option to choose initially. Say when we are given an opportunity as an intern, based on our potential and based on the company's availability, they will be sorting out the different domains, right? But from my perspective, if we are really good in logical reasoning, and if you are really like maths and aptitude, we can choose DFT as our specialization. And if you are really good in designs, if we identify ourselves as a strong designer of circuits, we should go for design, the front design. If you are good in visual and if you are good in planning the different floor planning of the different components of the chip, we should target for physical design. If you are really good in timing concepts, we should choose for STA and synthesis. And having said all this, let us not have a demarcation between a front end and back end. Right? We should go as whatever opportunity initially we get, right? We should go and learn it to our highest potential. Once we have a grasp of it, when we see a burning desire in us to work in some particular domain of the VLSI industry, go with it. If you are really passionate about, say, you want to work in DFT, and if you are put in other domain where you are not so passionate about, you should take a chance and find a way to move to the other domain, even if it is costs initially some salary negotiations or whatever it takes. We need to focus on the core aspects. And having said that, there is no limit to salary in VLSI domain. If we are there, the salary, if we are really passionate, salary will approach us. We should have a balance of our requirement, right? The first priority should be our core technical skills in learning. Less salary and rest things will follow us.
Exactly, sir. Sir, moving on to the seventh question. Has the approach of the VLSI industry changed since you first joined, or is it around the same few coding languages?
Yeah, there's a slight modification in your question. It's not, never it was few coding languages in VLSI industry, as you will understand when you join the organization. When I joined, it was Unix is a basic environment which still holds good everywhere. And we have to learn Verilog, that's a must. And never it was coding language. It is the ability to use the Verilog language and the EDA tools. Whether it is front end, whether it is synthesis, RTL writing, right? There are tools to do from synthesis to tape out and production. So it existed before also, and it exists now. But the only things which keeps evolving is the methodology. The design changes, the methodology changes, right? If you see in DFT, there are a lot of compression schemes evolved. There are how to handle memories change, how to handle flops, how to handle the combinational circuits, how to handle the DDR, SADSs. So there is no way we are always focusing only on the coding languages, right? There is a huge ocean of knowledge to be gained in this VLSI industry.
Yes, sir.
I hope I answered for your question. Maybe I
Yes, sir.
answered it
You
briefly.
answered the question, sir. So next
Thank you.
question. So any specific reason, sir, to take up masters after almost 12 years you've spent in the industry? So what was the motivation factor?
Yeah, I always have a desire to learn. I wanted to do immediately post bachelor's, but there are some constraints for doing immediate masters. But I was waiting for the right opportunity. And also, I like the classroom atmosphere and the students' atmosphere around me, right? And when I did my master's, when I topped in the Manipur University again, I got a lot of self-confidence and a lot of happiness when I was able to help the people with other assignments and other support activities. And having said that, life never happens in an exponential rise, right? You do bachelor's, you do master's, you get job, you get everything in life. That is really hypothetical. Life becomes more interesting only when we face challenges, then we accomplish something. In my life, it is always that I have to aim for something, wait for the opportunity, and then take it. Yep.
Yes, sir. So this is the most asked question by our audience. So is MS in US better with respect to MTech in India? And why? Can you please elaborate a bit?
See, for me, let me give my perspective. For me, MTech in India is one of the best things to do. I cannot comment on whether MS in US or MTech in India is good because I have never done MS at US. But what I can say with confidence is that there are plenty of opportunities for students with right abilities to do MTech in India. If you see 2 to 3 decades ago, right, people who are really good and aspire to do higher studies, who are brilliant, move to US. Now the situation is different. And as I said, before stating right, I want to mention that it is my perspective. Presently, the brilliant students study MTech in India, and the guys who wanted to do a master's at US go and do that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are the best. There are a lot of opportunities to do MTech in India, and I will say it is a good thing to do.
Yes, sir. So moving on to the next question. In the news, as we see, there's a buzz going on around in India that stating that within the next 5 or 10 years, the semiconductor industry will be on an exponentially upward trajectory, just like the software bubble in the late 1990s. So how do you see this one? And what are your advices to be a better prepared student, undergraduate, postgraduate to face the industry?
Yeah, let me explain how the semiconductor industry evolved over the past 20 years in Bangalore, as I have seen. In 1999, when I did my bachelor's and I came to Bangalore in search of VLSI jobs, right? I used to roam around to seek one VLSI institute to so that I can learn VLSI. But me and my friend was not able to spot even one VLSI industry. But then there were a lot of MNCs by 2003 to 5, right, set up in India and slowly started evolving. Now, if you see the situation, right, in my street presently, there are 2 institutes of VLSI where people can learn. The situation has changed. The VLSI has boomed in India 10 years ago only. And in the past 5 years, during the COVID days, the demand for the semiconductor industry has boomed, and now it is stabilizing to the actuals. In India, especially, for the next 5 years, as you rightly mentioned, it is not going to be next 5 years, it is going to be the next 10 to 15 years. The next decade is for Indian semiconductor industry. The reason why I mention is due to the government initiatives. Okay? The Indian government has recently mentioned a couple of initiatives to promote semiconductor industry. There has been a lot of aspirations to set up fab in India, but this is the time. Government has announced $10 million incentive for companies to set up fab in India. Vedanta and Foxconn Semiconductors, right, have already ready to invest huge amount to set up a fab in Gujarat. There are a lot of talks going on to set up fab in Mysore. Similar in Coimbatore also. So the potential for a fab to set up in India is very highly likely to happen in the next 2 to 3 years. The next point is there is a chip to startup program announced by government of India to train at least 85,000 engineers so that they can address the ecosystem to support the fab and all the other support activities. And another scheme is government has come up with design startup schemes for people who have design ideas. They can set, if they're ready to do a startup which can bring a product in India, the government of India is ready to support them financially. In addition to that, another important thing I see is the last 2 decades, Indian semiconductor professionals, who have started their career in 2000, now they are in their prime of their career, 40 to 45 years. And a lot of industry experts are willing to give back something to society. This is a key point which is good for our Indian semiconductor industry. I see a lot of industry veterans giving lectures in the colleges, creating an awareness of the VLSI industry. And therefore, the boom in semiconductor industry in India have already started. And you guys are in the perfectly positioned to take advantage of this.
Yes, sir. Sir, if given a second opportunity, how would you restart your industrial and academic journey from your college days? And how and why would your approach be different?
Anurag, I'd like to thank you for asking such wonderful questions. This question makes me think about what or how I evolved in this industry and what I could have done better. Also, at this point of career, I can plan for my next stage what I can give back to the student community as well. If you see what are the things from the college levels, I do not have any regrets. In college, I used to study and I used to play and I used to balance things a lot. Maybe in the initial time of the career, due to the lot of family expectations and my father's business concerns, maybe I didn't focus as much I should have. But having said that, life is not all about success each time, right? Life is more sweet when we face challenges and then we grow. I am fortunate to face so many challenges, but succeeded in each challenge by support of many, and my learning aptitude also helped in that journey. Yeah, so going forward with all these experiences, I will definitely see a way to impact my work in more suitable way and give something back to the students community.
So thanks a lot, sir. So moving on to the next question, sir. In your perspective, which profile would you think in the semiconductor industry cannot be replaced by AI or ML?
See, with every stage of technology evaluation, people do ask this, right? When initially when the computers were invented, there was a noise that there will be the number of opportunities is going to reduce as the computers is going to automate. Did it happen? Eventually, the number of job opportunities do increased. And during the mobile era, when we moved to Android, right, there are a lot of situations where people thought we have stagnated the growth and there is nothing we can improve beyond that. Then still there are a lot of technology advances. Now comes the MI and AL. Recently, you would have witnessed ChatGPT and a competition from the board, right? So such technology evaluations will happen, but nothing can replace human intelligence. Maybe the humans who can use all these technologies better will be more competitive, but definitely AI and ML cannot replace the potential of humans.
Exactly, sir. Sir, the last question, sir. Any specific reason why you choose to do your the executive management program from IIM Bangalore? So was it for a job shift, or what was the reason, exact reason?
See, as I said earlier, whatever things I do, right, I do plan it at least 4 to 5 years earlier. My master's in microelectronics, I was looking for an opportunity from 2007-8. And I had a keen desire to do my master's in management from 2014. When I completed my master's in microelectronics, I was thinking, what next? I am always passionate on this technology, which is my key strength, right? But that doesn't mean I have to limit myself. I want to challenge myself in learning something where I can differentiate from the people. If you see in this technical domain, right, there are a lot of requirements for technical leadership where we can do it in a much better way. I see the VLSI engineers, most of the VLSI engineers are much oriented towards technical. There is a slight lag in the leadership. So for me to move into the technical leadership in VLSI, I thought, first let me learn at the putting my efforts, then let me switch to a technical leadership role. And having worked for around nearly 19 years into technical hands-on, I did my master's in management, and I was happy that I was able to top in few subjects on that, and I was blessed to listen to some of the wonderful professors at the Institute of Management Bangalore. Now I can see how better I can do things compared to earlier. Technical is always my key strength, but I want to take it along with the other skills like management. I'd like to learn finance. So that's the reason I did my management. And I'd like to tell a small story which inspired me to keep learning. Okay. By 2001-2 timeframe, right, when I was working in a startup, I was put in Texas Instruments for a contract role. Those days, the kind of work we contract as a contractor people do, right, was highly demanding. It was not. We are expected to do something much higher and give a lot of good results. I was good in ATPG, which stands for Automatic Test Pattern Generation, but I was not good in M-based. So whenever there is some kind of work comes to the Texas Instrument manager, right, he used to assign the memory-based work to another person. And the startup, my manager called me and told, you are walking in a jungle without slippers. What it means is, if you are going in a challenging situation, you must be well equipped. It is not that you have to, it is always good to know something well, but we should not limit ourselves from that only domain. Say if you are good in ATPG, that is well and fine, but we have to go into the memory base, that is all the aspects. So that is my motivation to keep learning. And thanks for your time for listening to this very long answer for your question. Yeah.
It was indeed great talking to you. It was very inspirational, sir. As an engineer myself, I feel that many jigsaw puzzles in my mind have been clarified. I hope to see you on yet another episode on our YouTube channel, and we'll be very proud to host you again. Until then, goodbye. Take care. Signing off. This is Anurag. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Anurag. I am blessed to have this discussion.